All right. Welcome into Talkin Dawgs. Sitting here on the couch today because there's like 6 kids under the age of 5 downstairs in this house right now. It's kind of loud. So I've had to adjust where I usually sit. So it's not about the location or the presentation, it's about the content. And we have plenty of content to talk about here today on Talking Dogs. Big time matchup coming up on Thanksgiving night, Mississippi State versus Ole Miss. You all know what it is. It's the battle for the golden egg. The Bulldogs are trying to get the egg back for the first time since 2019. I guess technically they had the egg in 2020, but that was their last win, 2019. Joe Moorhead, hard to believe, as tumultuous as that tenure was, Joe Moorhead was 2-0 against Ole Miss. And one game was a beatdown, and one was an embarrassing loss for Ole Miss, the way that game ended. So Moorhead has a lot of success in that ball game, but of course we know there was a lot of other things going on there for Moorhead. But since Mike Leach has gotten here, this has been a difficult game for Mississippi State. Um, both times they've lost by 10 or less, but in 2020, I thought State had some opportunities early. I thought youth inexperience got the best of them being on the road in that environment against Ole Miss. They made some mistakes early, and they weren't able to overcome those. Ended up losing that game, I think, by 7. And then last year, of course, had those opportunities in the first half, just like they did in the year before. Made some mistakes, dropped some touchdown passes. They didn't finish drives inside the red zone. Ole Miss did, and the Rebels went on to 10 wins that year last season with a 31-21 win in that Egg Bowl. So now we transfer into 2022, and there's never a down moment, it doesn't seem, in this rivalry. I go back to 2007. That ball game was a bad Ole Miss team and a Mississippi State team that I think had won 6 or 7 games, whatever it was. 6 games, I think, coming into the game. So the team was really great, but there was even some drama around that ball game. Ed Orgeron was fired after the game, and Mississippi State was able to move on. 2008, nothing all that special about Ole Miss. I think they ended up maybe going to the Cotton Bowl that year. I can't remember. I think that's right. And Mississippi State was really bad, and then you have the firing of Sylvester Cream after that ball game. There always seems to be some kind of storyline going into the Egg Bowl, whether it be two teams that are fighting for a great bowl game, two coaches that are embattled, or a coach that could leave, a coach that could be fired. This year, it's Lane Kiffin for Ole Miss that is kind of taking the headlines. Lane Kiffin is a guy that's a bit complicated in many ways. Great offensive mind, but drama seems to follow him no matter where he goes. In the NFL, struggled with the Oakland Raiders, was fired there, became the head coach of the Tennessee Volunteers, was having a solid season. I think he went 7-6 or whatever it was his first year, decided to leave Tennessee after 1 year. But they had some recruiting violations that followed. He went to USC. Of course, remember what happened there. Got fired in the middle of the season. Got fired, I think, at the airport or something like that. And ended up having to work himself back into good graces in college football. Kind of made a name for himself again by becoming Alabama's offensive coordinator, and was really good with Nick Saban, kind of transforming that offense from the old era of football, I would say, into the new era of the spread offense. And what they did there at Alabama was pretty amazing. So that goes to Florida Atlantic. They're the first team to take a chance on him again. Had some success there with 2 10-win seasons in 3 years. And Ole Miss, of course, loses Matt Luke after the 2019 season. They decide to take a chance on Kiffin. Turns out to be a really good decision by them, because he comes in and really transforms their offense immediately, makes them an exciting football team. 10 wins last year. They win the Egg Bowl this year in a bowl game. They win 10 games again this year. So things have gone really well, but we knew that at some point this drama would begin for Lane Kiffin and looking at other jobs, and he has not really put to rest this all of this noise out there about Auburn and that head coach opening. So coming into this week, there's already been a report by our friend John Sokoloff from WCBI that he's going to take the job at Auburn on Friday before the Iron Bowl, maybe early in that morning. I don't know when that might be, but All indications are by those who believe he's going to take that job that will be announced before the Iron Bowl. I have no idea either way. It seems to be leaning towards that direction based on all the smoke that's been going on. But nothing has been finalized either way. Kiffin sort of joked about it and talked about that being used to him. There's a report out there that he told his players he hadn't accepted the job, but he has not come out and said that he's staying at Ole Miss, and that has been a distraction that's been around this team all weekend. So you got that. You got Mississippi State trying to win the Egg Bowl for the first time since 2019. A lot of pressure on Mike Leach coming this week for the Bulldogs to win this ball game, and I think it's very important. If State wins this game, you start to flip that momentum a little bit. I mean, say State wins this ball game, they have the same amount of wins as Ole Miss in a year that State struggled at times, but an 8-win season for Mississippi State this year is a win. I think that's what pretty much everybody in the fan base agreed would be a good season for them this year. 8 wins in an Egg Bowl and maybe even a bowl game win that gets you to 9. I think everybody can get behind that. And then Ole Miss possibly looking for a head coach. You got the egg back. I mean, this could be a big weekend for Mississippi State, or it could be the start of a lot of negative momentum for Mike Leach and company. There's already a lot of people in the fan base that are split on Mike Leach, and a lot of people don't believe in his offense and what he's going to do at Mississippi State. So this weekend could go a long way in changing that if Leach is able to win that game. So we'll see what happens. A reminder, if you guys want to throw in some comments, throw in some questions, we got some already. Put it in the chat bar over there on the right side. If you aren't subscribed to this channel, I remind you, go ahead and do that. I'd appreciate that. We have these live chats usually once a week. We'll have a lot of content as far as press conferences, media availabilities, stuff like that in here too. And also some reaction videos. I have a reaction video on Mississippi State's basketball recruiting class. We'll have some reaction videos and other, I guess, other categories as well. So go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. Adam says, Hell State, let's go and send Lane off to Auburn with a loss. That's going to be the goal for those players. I'm really interested to see how this plays out. All indications are that this is Lane's last game in Oxford. I mean, you got to believe that he would have come out and, vehemently denied that or something. But so far he has not. And he has a contract extension on his desk as well from Ole Miss. That's a significant raise. So we'll see how that plays out. Michael, should Mike Leach be fired if we lose? My opinion. No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I mean, I think the pressure is on him next season to win because it's very difficult to lose 3 straight Egg Bowls and expect the fan base to really get behind it. I mean, it's not like the Apple Cup at Washington State. I mean, a lot of people at Washington State were kind of frustrated with Mike Leach at times, but I think for the most part, everybody was happy with what he did there, and he hardly ever beat Washington State, his main rival. This is a lot different. A lot more heated rivalry here, and there's a lot of pressure on coaches and teams to win this ball game. So I don't think he should be fired. I don't think he will be fired if he loses the game, because at the end of the day, this is back-to-back bowl games for Mississippi State, actually 3 straight. And he had a losing season in 2020, but I don't really count that anyway. But 2 seasons in a row with a winning record, it's just hard to believe that State, outside of what you saw with Moorhead when there was a lot of things behind the scenes and kind of losing the team a little bit, and you kind of saw where that was going, it's not going to be very often where Mississippi State is going to fire a coach that has been above 500 or around 500 and is getting you to bowl games consistently. But I do think that the seat is red hot next year if he's not able to win this game. Let's see. Daryl, got to win. No State coaches lost 3 in a row to the Rebs and kept the job. You haven't researched that. Maybe that's true. But I don't think he's going to be fired, but definitely going to see some pressure increase. And on the flip side of that, you win this game, and I think you see some momentum back in his corner and back in Mississippi State's corner. You have in my opinion, a very manageable schedule next year, much more manageable than what you have this year. I think that State can win upwards of 9 games in the regular season next season and can really get some momentum. They got Ole Miss at home next year. I mean, that hasn't been the end-all, be-all, but you do have them at home. And who knows what's going to happen with their team. But you win this ball game, possibly win a bowl game too. You're sitting there at 9 wins heading into next season. You're probably going to be a preseason top 25 team. You're returning the bulk of the offense. You're returning several key pieces on defense. Need to go hit the portal to get some other players. So very important game. It's a very, very important game for Mississippi State. I think they really need to win this. Adam McBrayer says we got to feed our backs tomorrow. That's the key to winning this game. No way around it. Yeah, I agree. Last year they had 13 design runs against Ole Miss. They scored 21 points. Those guys averaged over 5.5 yards a rush, but that's not enough carries. If you have your backs averaging over 5 yards a rush in this offense, then you're going to win, in my opinion, most games that you play. And I think the stats probably back that up. I would say 80% of the time Mississippi State's going to win that game. The key to that is not just averaging over 5 yards a rush. It's the bulk of the rushes. How many are you run, or how many times are you calling a design run? 25 carries to me is the key number for the backs. Split it up how you want. You got 3 running backs that you can use tomorrow with Simeon Price, Dylan Johnson, Jaquavius Marks. You split them up to 3 different guys and you run the ball 25 times. If Mississippi State does that, say they have over 100 yards rushing, and they run the ball over 25 times, I have a hard time believing they're going to lose this game unless Ole Miss has just scored 50 points. I think the offense is going to be able to dictate the tempo of the game when they do that. I think they're going to be able to possess the ball, keep the ball away from Ole Miss, make them a little uncomfortable. You got to do it. Everybody that's had success against Ole Miss has run the football, and State's going to have to do that too. They give up 168 yards, I think, a game, so that they've got to do it. Oh, let's see. What do we have next? Rashana, wouldn't you just nip it in the bud for your team's sake? I think you're talking about Lane Kiffin. If he was interested in coming back, yeah. But I don't know if that's the case. There's obviously some thinking for him to do. It hasn't been decided that he's going to come back to Ole Miss, or he would just come out and say it, because he has a lucrative offer on the table from Keith Carter and company. There's reports that it could be up to $10 million a year, which is an insane number. But yeah, it's there for him. He hasn't really, to me, there hasn't been a ton of huge marquee wins in there for him to make $10 million. But you're talking about a guy that's got a knack for getting guys out of the portal and for making a splash there. He's been able to utilize the NIL. He's been able to put an exciting offense on the field. So the trajectory is going up. So maybe they can get some big-time wins, but there's not a ton of top 25 wins in there. One of the most impressive wins this year is Vanderbilt for Ole Miss. So the thing is, he's just not losing a lot of ball games, and he's giving Ole Miss some success they haven't had. So they feel like they really need to lock that up. But now that's some things are starting to get fractured between that fan base and Lane Kiffin, and I don't know if there's a return from this for Kiffin. Oh, let's see. Rashana, do you think Chris Parson can come in and win the starting job next year? No, I don't. I don't think he's going to be ready to come in as a true freshman, especially if it's Mike Leach's offense. Michael, Dion to Starkville, you believe, but really how insane would it be for him to be our head coach? I don't think that would be a bad hire. I don't think, like I said, I don't see Mississippi State making a change. But if that did happen, I mean, that's not a bad option to go after. I think Dion is going to coach in the Power 5 at some point, and he's got a lot of the things that you're looking for as far as being a program builder. A lot of people get caught up in the persona and things like that, but he really is a well-organized guy, very disciplined, and he's shown the ability to build something special at Jackson State. I mean, it would not be a terrible fit, especially at a place like Mississippi State. Richard Neal, how will our defense stack up against their run game? That's the big question. Can State limit them defensively, kind of take away what they like to do in the running game and put – I think you need to kind of limit what they do running the football, limit some of those big runs, limit some of those chunk plays there, and put a lot of pressure on Jackson Dart for the football. That's easier said than done because they've run the football against everybody that they've played this year, and they have not just one guy. They got 2 or 3 guys that can run the football when you include Jackson Dart. So you got Zach Evans, you got Quinshon Judkins. It's going to be very difficult. I think State can limit a little bit of it. I still think that Ole Miss is going to get their yards some way, somehow. Rashana, is Dylan Johnson healthy yet? That's something that we're going to find out tomorrow. They set him out last week. I think he was good enough to play last week, but I think they were probably keeping him out to let him get another week healthy, and didn't really play a ton in the previous 2 games, didn't get the ball a whole lot. So I think State was doing what they could since then to try to get him back to 100%. I don't know how close he is to 100%, but got to think he's relatively close. And they need him bad. They've got to have a bruising running back in there to eat up some yards, eat up some clock, and keep the ball away from Ole Miss, and also open up that passing game a little bit. Drew Massey, what's up, Drew? How do you feel about this news of Lane will affect the players? I could see where they could play hard for him to leave on a high note, or will it be Mullen effect 2.0? By the way, happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, buddy. Happy Thanksgiving to all you guys. I think it's going to negatively affect them. I think there's going to be a little bit of that. What you saw with Mullen teams at times. Every time that we heard that Mullen was interviewing for other jobs, or there was a report that he was a candidate for a job, it seemed like the team came out and played pretty flat. We saw that in several Egg Bowls. Every time Mullen became a hot name, the team was a little distracted. Last week, I thought, against Arkansas, Ole Miss came out looking a little lackadaisical, a little distracted as well, and they put up over 700 yards of offense. So it's I'm not going to take away that, but a lot of that came in the second half when the game was kind of in hand. So I think there's going to be a negative effect against Ole Miss. The question is whether or not Mississippi State can take advantage of that, come out early in the game. I think the key early in the ball game, come out there, score points early, get a couple of stops against Ole Miss, and build a little bit of a lead. And then you start to create a little bit of doubt among the fan base, among the players. They start thinking, about the negative effects of the ball game, of possibly Lane Kiffin leaving. I think that's the biggest thing. Mississippi State's just got to take advantage of it. I feel like Ole Miss is still going to be able to score some points and do some things offensively, but State's going to have to come out and really kind of dictate how this game's going to play. If State comes out flat in the first half, I don't see it happening. Richard, is Dollar Bill going to get back to be starting left tackle? I don't think so. I think Nick Jones is probably your best option there. He's done a pretty good job. I think he's probably going to stick there. There's been no reason yet to take him back out. MSU 44, he's ready for some baseball. Talking about Colton Ledbetter as an All-American. Oh, Jackson, Lane Kiffin broke through Ole Miss's 9-win ceiling. They're going to back up the Brinks truck. Yeah, I mean, this team's shown the ability to win 9-10 games. They did it with Hugh Freeze. I don't think that's really out of the question. I mean, they still were a competitive team even with Matt Luke. So they haven't been just kind of a dumpster fire. But yeah, he's definitely brought some consistency back to them, and they're trying to keep that around. Jason Hanna, loving the grip from the men in basketball. Yeah, I thought they were great the other night defensively, and kind of the guts that they showed. I didn't think they played just incredible on the offensive end and left a lot of opportunities out there. But the way that they responded to that, and they went and got the game with steals, rebounding, things like that, that was really impressive. This team plays really hard. They don't let things get them down. They don't let kind of a snowball effect come into play. They're playing again tonight at 7:30, so make sure you tune in for that game against Utah, going for the title in that tournament. So in Fort Myers. So check that out. FS1, I believe, is the channel for that. 7:30. Mississippi State's trying to start 6-0, which I think I haven't even looked. Maybe you guys can check it. That's the first time in a long time. It feels like they've won their first 6. Michael, will the post Egg Bowl Thunder and Lightning come out on Friday? No, we're Friday around lunch probably. I'm probably going to go record it Friday morning with Brian, one way or the other. I thought about, if State wins, maybe us recording that night, but I think we might wait. It's going to be a late night, and I live about 30 minutes from Starkville anyway, so that'd be tough. But Friday afternoon, around lunch, it should be out. Rashana says Cam Matthews playing more confidence under Jans. He is. I've really liked what I've seen from Cam Matthews so far on both ends of the floor. We knew he could defend, but he's kind of expanding his game. Looks a lot more comfortable in this system. And I've thought from the beginning that he was going to be a guy that Chris Jans loved, and that's kind of showing itself early on this year. 44 MSU, Justin Robinson poised for a big year next season. Could be. I think he's come on this year. He's had some really good moments. Started off slow. He was behind Antonio Harmon, but he's done a good job working his way into the rotation for Mississippi State as the number 2 guy on the outside. And also, I think has become more of a target for Will Rogers, a guy that Will is relying on more. Let's see. I was looking at his stats. 22 catches for 234, 2 touchdowns on the year. But the last 3 games, he's had 4 or more catches in 3 of those games. Last week, 5 for 62, 4 for 31 against Auburn, 2 for 18 versus his old team in Georgia. And in the previous games, he had 7, 8, 9, 12 catches combined. So he's really you've kind of seen him emerge. Texas A&M was his best game, 6 for 50. He could be a guy to watch on Saturday. Like Mike Leach said, I mean, there's just not a whole lot of separation from this group. Nobody's over 500 yards yet. It's kind of been spread around pretty evenly, and that's kind of what I expect out of this team. I didn't see anybody that really stood out among the rest during preseason camp. I take that back. Ra Thomas has 599. And he's second on the team or third on the team in catches. Easily State's most explosive receiver this year. But even he has his moments where he kind of disappears a little bit. They need him to really step up on Thursday night. Guy, the weather outlook for tomorrow has me more than worried. Yeah, State has not been very good in the rain. And that's something to be concerned about, unless they come out and they're going to make a point to establish the running game. I think that's what you got to do. So that the rain makes it even more paramount for Mississippi State to run the football. They came out, they threw the football a ton against Auburn earlier this year, a couple weeks ago in the rain, and that game was kind of hit or miss offensively. They had several possessions where they just started to kind of flounder out there offensively. 18 rushes for 13 yards, and a lot of those were sacks on Will Rogers. They had 10 rushes in that game, and Joavis Marks was averaging 6 yards a carry. So with the rain, with Ole Miss's defense, I mean, it just feels like State has to put a lot into the running game in this one. Jackson, how you think Starkville versus Tupelo plays out? Very interesting ball game. That game is a rematch from earlier this year. I mean, if you look at it based on that rematch, Starkville put up 17 points, which is the most Tupelo's given up this year, without its starting quarterback. If you look at that and you realize, Trey Petty's back for Starkville this week, it could swing in Starkville's favor. But Tupelo has been so good this season, and especially at home. They've given up 2 points a game at home, which is just unfathomable. They've given up over 10 points only twice this year in the entire schedule. So it's going to be tough for Starkville, but Starkville's not the same team. I don't think it's going to be, a pushover game for Tupelo. This could be Tupelo's year, though. I'm gonna give the edge to Tupelo being at home and how they played this year. They've been tested too, and they've really kind of blown out everybody that they've played, with the exception of Starkville. So I think it's two of the best teams from talent standpoint going up against each other. Starkville's always got the talent. It's just always about kind of, are they going to be focused? Are they going to be motivated? And I think they'll be motivated on Friday night. I'm going to go with Tupelo, but would not shock me if Starkville pulls off the upset. Michael, you think this team makes it to the tournament? I'm talking about basketball. I saw Joey Brackets put us in as a 10 seed this week. If they come through this non-conference schedule and they lose like one game, or even better, if they somehow go undefeated, then I think they've got a really good shot. Because at that point, you really just need to kind of break even in the SEC. I think they have a chance to do that. The SEC is going to be tough. There's going to be teams that are going to be able to score. I think State's going to be in most ball games, though, because of that defense. Rashana says Tulu's going to take one to the house tomorrow. Very well could. He had a big game last year against Ole Miss. Dropped a touchdown pass. I thought that was big. But also had a couple of big catches. I think he had a big return in that game. And if he gets the ball kicked to him, I mean, he's got a chance every single time. I've never seen a returner as good as Tulu at Mississippi State. And he's already holding the record for yards per return. Has 2 touchdowns, too. He's tied for the school record. King Smith says no way Ole Miss can be focused enough to play on a short week after all this. Going to be a challenge, I think. Again, if State comes out and really executes, I think they can win this game. I think there's going to be some lulls with Ole Miss. You just have to see if Mississippi State has some of those same lulls. If State comes out and executes, they have a chance. I think they have the upper hand as far as from the mental standpoint. But a lot of factors go into a ball game, and Ole Miss has been really good offensively this year. State has not been great on the offense the last few games. Michael, before the season, you said that the videos were only better because we were winning more in 2014, but we had the same record as last year, and they are much better this year. Yeah, I think that the video team has definitely upgraded. And a lot of that comes with time. Mississippi State, 2014, a lot has changed in digital media world since then. I think a lot of people have that nostalgia feel with some of those 2014 highlights because of the games that they were. But this crew is really good. They're great at the videography side of things and also storytelling and things like that. They've done a really good job. I really enjoyed the highlight or the hype video that came through today, and most of that because my guy Hardy was on there, but it was a cool video too. So they've done a really good job. King, it looks very possible that the winner of the Egg Bowl gets the Citrus Bowl. With that being said, Egg Bowl is the only thing that matters. Yeah, there's a very good chance, I think, that State can get a Citrus Bowl invite with a win. Last year was similar. They could have gotten a really good bowl game with a win in that game. A lot can change for Mississippi State, not just the bowl game, but with this program moving forward in the short term, a lot can change with a win in this game. It's a very important game. King also says, have you heard the rumors of the return of the gold uniforms tomorrow? I have not. They've been putting a lot of gold accents on some of the stuff. They've been putting out like graphics and video and stuff like that this week, but I don't know what they're going to wear. That'll be something to watch for tomorrow. What's up, Coach Caldwell? You headed to Eupora versus Charlton or Starkville Tupelo Friday? I will be in Tupelo. I will be on the blue turf. I've never been to a football game there. Really looking forward to it. Talked to Coach Ty Harden today. I talked to Coach Chris Jones. Both great guys, and I think they're going to have their teams ready. That should be a fun one on the blue turf there in Tupelo. Really excited for that one. All right, any more questions? Exciting time. Hope you guys have a good Thanksgiving tomorrow, a good meal with your families. I will be heading to Oxford shortly after lunch. Hopefully, I won't have enough turkey to put me to sleep, and then we'll get that egg bowl. This will be my 19th egg bowl in person. I missed a couple in the last decade, but not many. I think this is my 5th trip to Oxford for an egg bowl, so it should be a good time. Looking forward to it. All right, guys, make sure you tune into our coverage tomorrow and over the weekend as well. Like I said, we got I think the 3 Ps should be out for Thunder and Lightning. If you guys want to check that out. If not, I apologize. It'll be out at some point. You can listen to it on the way to Oxford if you want to. So check that out. We'll be back on the air on Friday at some point with a recap, things that are true, Tell 'em Falk, and all that coming on Friday. And of course, we have plenty of stuff going up on this website on 247 Sports right now. We got stuff in the Starkville Daily News you can go check out. I'm gonna throw that out there and plug that as well. So make sure you do all that. Make sure you're subscribed to this YouTube channel. We'll have possibly a reaction video coming tomorrow or Friday, depending on when I can get that done as well. So appreciate you guys for checking in. Always a great time on here. Love talking to you guys. Hope you guys have a great holiday. Happy Thanksgiving. Thankful for you guys, for Mississippi State fans out there, for being so passionate and eating up all this stuff that we put out day in and day out. I appreciate you guys. And again, hope you have a great rest of the week. We will catch you down the road.